Hey guys, Josh from soccerreviewsforyou.com bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the Adidas D Rose 6. This shoe has a retail price of $140 US, and if you are interested in a pair for yourself, check out the very first link down below in the description of this video. With that being said, let's get right into the review. Alright, so here is a look at the D Rose 6. Certainly not one of the newer colorways. This is actually one of the first ones that they launched the shoe with. And this is a shoe that honestly I've kind of had my eye on since it initially came out. I always thought it was a pretty cool looking sneaker, and I was really curious about it in that it is kind of the first basketball to incorporate the Boost foam technology in a more significant way than just having it in the heel. This has it in the forefoot as well. Plus, again, I just think it's a really interesting looking sneaker design where they didn't really incorporate the three stripes on either side of the shoe. Obviously you have the big logo there on the tongue, and I also thought this kind of cross X pattern seatbelt strap system they have going across the back of the heel was just really interesting as well. So this is one of those sneakers that I picked up, one because I thought it looked cool, and two because I was just kind of fascinated with how it would actually feel. So pretty excited to have a pair. The retail price on these guys is $140 US. Given that this is one of the original colorways, I did manage to pick these up on sale. If I remember correctly, I got them for just under $100. Obviously, you can get some of the older colorways on sale in fairly limited sizing. This is one of those sneakers that's actually done pretty well for Adidas in the majority of the colorways that have come out. And I like this one in particular just because of the upper that it has. This is the one colorway, I believe, that has a mesh upper. I know there's a new mesh upper that's available on the latest colorways. There's kind of like an all black and an all red one. Those are really, really nice. I may pick up a pair of those if I end up really liking these, but I really like this particular upper just because it's very soft, it's flexible, and I just prefer how it looks in comparison to the kind of synthetic leather ones. And then they have the special edition ones that honestly I'm not too crazy about in terms of just having different shiny synthetic materials. I'm just not a fan of that, but this one I think looks pretty cool. It's kind of like a white and silver color scheme with kind of different shades of gray, I guess. It's got some reflective in there as well. And it's a really interesting looking shoe. Is it the best casual wear sneaker? Absolutely not, but this is one of those shoes I'm going to wear at the gym, do some training in, and kind of just play around in, I guess. It's the main reason why I picked them up. But the upper, really soft, really flexible. I like this kind of crisscross pattern look that you have there. There's little details on the shoe as far as this little star is concerned on the top here. You've got these plastic inserts here for where the lace holes are, kind of as surrounding pieces, which I guess adds some dimension to the overall design. And then of course you have this really interesting strap system where the top lace hole is actually this kind of connection point to these straps. So what you're going to find is there's a plastic covering here that sticks out from the back of the heel, kind of unusual, a little bit unnecessarily bulky in my opinion, but it is something they did incorporate, and obviously it does have the D Rose logo there in black on the very back. Basically this strap connects here at the base of the sole, goes on a diagonal across the back of the heel, and then comes up and attaches on the right side. And then of course you have the same thing happening on the other side. The two bands kind of crisscross underneath this plastic covering that they've incorporated. So when you directly pull on this top lace, it pulls on these bands and is supposed to keep your heel and ankle kind of locked in place, which is really, really interesting. Something you don't really notice about the shoe until you see it in person is that the two sides of the shoe are actually cut differently. So the medial side is cut a little bit higher, as you guys can see, whereas the lateral side is cut low into the shoe. So it kind of is almost like a low on this side, and then it has a more of a mid cut on the opposite side, which I think is a pretty cool thing. It has this nice extra padding here at the top part of the tongue, while the bottom half is pretty much just kind of an open, thin, ventilated mesh. The insole has the D Rose signature on the inside. Nothing really to see, honestly. And then this one does have the gray midsole with the gray paint splatter. You can see it says Boost there. This is kind of just an EVA foam kind of carrier. It's a combo of Boost foam and just a standard EVA foam for the outsole. The Boost foam is pretty much the entire heel. Underneath the insole, it's directly on top of Boost. And then I believe this one is bottom loaded, meaning that it's in between the foam and your foot. So this is again going to provide that kind of Boost cushioning, but at the same time in the forefoot area it's not going to feel unstable or too mushy, which you can get from a Boost shoe if you've worn any of their running models. For straight up running and just jogging in a straight line, it's not an issue. It actually feels really good. But as a basketball shoe, obviously you would want some form of stability, which is why they incorporated the more dense EVA foam with the Boost cushioning. So the EVA is going to provide kind of the stability. The Boost foam is going to provide the cushioning. It's an interesting shape, a little bit more bulky in person than I was honestly expecting. Same thing goes for how they feel on feet. And then the outsole on this particular colorway has this kind of translucent gray on gray, almost camo look to it. It does have the D Rose signature right there at the tip of the toe. I believe that's his signature. I could be wrong on that. You got the Adidas logo on the heel, and then the little kind of see-through spots where you can actually see that boost foam at the very bottom on the underside of this rubber. So that's pretty much it as far as the shoe itself is concerned. I really like how they look. I really like how they feel. And I just think it's a really interesting shoe in general. I've been picking up a lot of Adidas sneakers as of late, mainly because they're making some interesting stuff. And it's pretty well priced too. So expect to see more Adidas shoes on the channel, I guess, in the near future. But that's pretty much it as far as details on this shoe goes. And move on next to an on-feet portion so we can get a better idea as to how these shoes look and, of course, what the sizing is like. All right, so here is a look at the shoes on feet. With most basketball shoes, I always find like they feel a little bit bulky, and these are kind of no different. When I look down at my own feet, they just look bigger than they normally are just because of the shoe. I'm not sure if it's because of the design or the colorway, but they fit really, really well. They're extremely comfortable. There's a lot of sturdiness around the ankle, especially when you pull the laces tight. That strap system they've incorporated, while it isn't quite as functional as you might expect it to be, it definitely does something in terms of just making for a very, very locked-in sensation at that back portion of the shoe. The boost foam underneath your feet feels really, really soft, really well cushioned, but without feeling mushy. The shoe, like I said, doesn't necessarily lack that stability that you would expect from a performance sneaker, especially a basketball shoe. These are obviously designed for much bigger people than myself, but they make them in smaller sizes. You can wear them too. But ultimately, these things are designed for top-level athletes. Derrick Rose, NBA player. Not the player he used to be, but nonetheless, it's still a shoe that I feel like I can wear very comfortably and kind of feel the cushion right away. Whereas with a lot of basketball shoes, they tend to feel pretty stiff and they almost need some break-in time. This one, like I said, they feel pretty good to go out of the box. The upper is flexible. It does have some breathability to it as well, given that this colorway does have a predominantly mesh upper. And again, they're just comfortable shoes in general. Is it a shoe that I would buy to wear casually? Probably not, but to wear them to play basketball and just go to the gym in general, I think that they are definitely going to suit their job pretty well. I'm pretty happy with them. As far as sizing and width is concerned, they're fairly wide in my opinion, a little bit snug through the midfoot, but the forefoot and toe box area definitely has some decent space to it, especially in this particular colorway with the mesh upper. The other variations, I haven't tried them on. They probably will fit more snug just because it's going to be a firmer synthetic. But in this particular colorway, I'd say they fit pretty much anybody. And as far as sizing is concerned, I went with my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is absolutely perfect. So for the most part, I would definitely recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the D Rose 6. Again, if you guys are interested in a pair of these for yourself, check out the very first link down below in the description of this video. If you have any questions at all regarding this particular shoe, leave them down below in the comments, and I definitely will get an answer out to you. And if you have any suggestions for other sneakers you'd perhaps like to see featured on the channel, leave those down below in the comments as well, and I'll take a look at everything you guys have to say. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for more videos on all kinds of different sneakers. All my social media information is linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. And as always, thanks for watching.